In this video, I'm just demonstrating how to interface a optical flow camera, which is based on the ADNS3080 mouse sensor. That's that on the back here. I'm interfacing this to the Arduino so that this is actually a Metro, which is an Adafruit clone of the Arduino. Anyway, this mouse sensor is able to detect motion in two directions, and also has captures. You can use it to capture frames of pixel data. It's pretty low resolution. It's only 30 by 30 pixels, but then you don't have a lot of memory or processing capability on these AVR microprocessors anyway. But the main limitation with this sensor is the fact that it's fairly narrow field of view. And also it's got fairly poor light capability, so it works a lot better in bright light. You might consider putting some infrared lights on the camera, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad really. Anyway, to interface this to the Metro, it has to make use, or the Arduino, it has to make use of the SPI bus. On the back you can see here there's like a whole bunch of different connections. There's power and ground, and then there's the SPI chip select line, which is that first one here, and then there's MOSI, MISO and shift clock, which are the three SPA lines, and then this blue line is the reset pin for the chip, and it's kind of useful to be able to reset it from software. So with regards to getting hold of one of these things, there's a lot of them available on eBay. I guess that 3D Robotics used to make them, but they now have no information about those on their site. So essentially, you can connect these cameras to your Arduino, and basically I just give it 5 volts and ground. Now it does actually work off 3.3 volts, but it has a regulator on board. But also it does have some resistor dividers on there as well, so the interface does work from 5 volts. Exactly which pins your SPI bus are going to depend on which Arduino board you use, but basically there's this conventional set which are pins 11, 12 and 13 for MISO, shift clock and SPI, and also you have to define your own pin for the chip select line, and I've chosen pin 2, and the blue line is the reset line, and I've chosen pin 3, but you could actually have any for that particular line. I have a sketch that I have made available on my GitHub, and you should be able to look that up in the video information. But basically what this sketch does, it can actually print out the information about the motion vectors. So what we can see here is a little graph, and so the line of asterisks there are actually showing the squall number, which is the surface quality. So like if I point it at a blank wall, it goes down to 0, but if I point it at a textured pattern, it kind of gives you a large squall. Now, one of the things that's useful to print this out for is because you need to get it in focus, so you have to mess around focusing on the lens while pointing it at some decent pattern, and then try and get that bar as long as possible, and so that it's in focus. And then the next number, that is the average pixel brightness value. So you can see it's fairly low. I mean, this is from 0 to 63, so the average value is kind of like in the low range. It's not very bright in this room, so and then the next value is the exposure time, and that's actually it's maxed out. And if I actually point it at something like brighter, it will actually start to go down, and you'll see some lower numbers there as it automatically adapts to exposure time. And you can also see as the last pair of values, that's the motion vector. So if I kind of move it left to right, you can see that it's kind of like mostly, although I'm not doing a very good job of it, you can see it's mostly kind of affecting the first number, and then vertically it's affecting the second number more. So anyway, you can Try this out for yourself. The software on my GitHub is available, and also it's possible to use it to do frame grabbing as well, and it prints out the images in a kind of an ASCII art format, although it's kind of hard to make out because it's so low resolution. But it's useful for various different projects, so worth giving it a go.